Thank you, thank you, thank you. So like Rebecca said, I'm the Director of Talent Management here at Pellissippi. So my job is basically professional development of our staff, faculty, training, also the hiring, retention process. I'm in that as well. So I see a lot of applications come in, I see a lot of resumes, a lot of interviewing, a lot of search committees. So you're getting advice from someone who does it all day long. So I'm glad to be here. We're going to talk about interview tips and tricks. I love this quote. We're going to kind of talk about the whole process. I'm going to touch on the application process, the cover letter, resume before we get into the meat of interviewing. We have 30 minutes, so I'm actually going to set my timer, so I'm going to try to go fast. But I love this quote because your mindset when you go into interview, you have to have an open, clear, and growth mindset, right? So be ready to interview. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Right, so when you go do your first interviews, or some of you might have done interviews already, you're going to be a little nervous at first. You're going to be working through the techniques, making yourself better every time. Don't let that deter you. Really anything you do in life. That the first year you do something, it's not going to be good, right? But then you'll get better and better, so don't let that deter you. So get yourself in a great mindset when you're starting your job search, when you start your career planning in general, okay? So I'm going to talk first about the application briefly because I know we want to get to the interview and that's important, but before you can get to the interview, you have to have a successful application, okay? So read over the application carefully. So it's going to take time. So I got 15 minutes. I'm going to sit down and complete my application. Do you think that's enough time? It's never enough time. It's never. Give yourself a good hour if you can. Read through the job description and be like, okay, I can't do this in an hour. I need 2. Like, be prepared. Have your references ready to go. How many of y'all have references? What do you do before you submit your references? Talk to them. Thank you. A+, talk to them. You have no idea how many times we call references and I'm like, why did they put that person as a reference, right? Talk to your people. I'm putting you down as a reference. This is the role I'm applying for. I think I'd be good at it because I've done X, Y, and Z. Do you feel comfortable being a reference for me? Ask them, right? And be like, yeah, sure. Then you want to make sure you let them know after you've applied as well so that they know if they get a strange call. What do we all do now if we don't recognize the number? We don't pick up, right? So you want to make sure, hey, if a strange person calls you, please pick up. That's probably a reference for my job, okay? So also enter all your work experience from your resume into that application. So a lot of times, have you all applied where you put in your resume and it automatically brings that information into the tracking system? Y'all done that? Okay, so a lot of times it doesn't come in correctly. So make sure you go in and you make sure that everything imported the way it's supposed to import. That's important because when they're calculating your minimum years of experience, your requirements, and your salary, they're not using your resume to do that. They're using what's in their system. So if your resume says you've got more experience, you would make more money, but it's not in there, in that system correctly, you're not going to get credit for that. Okay, some companies will and some won't, right? So we don't at Pellissippi. It has to be what's in the application, not what's on your resume. So be very careful and intentional reviewing your application and make sure that all your information is in there correctly. The next thing we're going to talk about, cover letters, resumes. So lots of debate about cover letters these days. Who all thinks a cover letter is necessary? Who's writing them? Right? If they ask for it, of course. But like, if it's optional, you're right. Cover letters, 77% of recruiters give preference to candidates who submit a cover letter. 72% expect one even if they're optional. These are percentages from 2022. What do you think they are today, now, 2023, 2024? 83%. People want these cover letters. They're a great way to market yourself. You don't want to regurgitate your resume. You want to expand on it, right? You want to tell them maybe about a specific project or something you did that relates to the role. So use this as a selling tool, okay? Do a cover letter. I included a link here when you guys get these resources. This has a video of a guy I really like on YouTube who goes over interviewing cover letters, resumes, and he has actually a cover letter template that's outstanding that you can get if you watch. It's like 4-minute videos. They're not long, right? So I would strongly recommend that you work on a cover letter anytime you're applying. For resumes, who else heard the 1-page rule? Don't make it any longer than 1 page. Is that true? No. No, don't stress about one page. Like I said, your pay, your compensation is going to be based on your experience. So if you take off experience that you don't think is relevant, that might be, that doesn't get on there, you're shorting yourself in compensation, right? So we don't want to include everything, but be very strategic. Read that job description, read those essential functions, make sure everything you've done that relates to those are in your resume, right? Even if it takes you over that one page. Yeah?
Just a comment, and this is, my name is John Gill, I work in career development.
Yeah.
And just from resumes I've seen from students, a lot of people get to one-page resume, but they do it by going down to like an 8 font.
Right.
And you can't read it. If you have to go that small, you need 2 pages.
Right, 2 pages. And it's okay, don't be afraid of it. Here's the stats, and these are also from 2023. 2.9 times more likely for managerial roles to expect to see more than one page, 1.4 times more likely to expect to see more than one page for entry level. So don't be afraid. You don't want to get into the 3 and 4 page range unless you've been in the industry for 20 years and you're going for VP, right? So stay in that 1.5-ish to 2. Don't be afraid of that. Don't tie yourself and ruin the look of it, okay? There's also a link to how common mistakes that HR folks see on resumes on there, so you can play that video. It's on the link for the resumes, and HR professional actually goes through a resume and highlights things that we look for, common mistakes that we see. So maybe watch that video again. It's like 4 minutes, so it's not a lot of time. But when you're before you start on your resume, maybe take a peek at that. Okay, social media. Talk about social media for a minute. So sometimes this is a touchy subject because people are like, I'm free to be me. You totally are. I am not telling you not to have social media. Have social media. But depending on how you want to do it, either have a personal social media presence and a professional social media presence, or be intentional about the one, if you only want one, the social media presence you have, right? So when you start your job search, you want to go into all of your social media accounts, check your privacy, make sure your settings are set to private. People can tag you on anything, right? So there's options where you can go and say, make sure I approve all tags. So if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, whatever, you can set that setting so that people can't just randomly tag you. That's a good thing to do. Don't erase your social media when you go to apply. Don't do a mass cleanse, because then people are going to wonder, why did they do that? What are they hiding? Just disable them. Just disable them. You can Google yourself, see if you've got any shady stuff going on in an incognito window. So, and like I said, personal and professional accounts, consider separating them. Okay? So have social media, have fun with it. Just be responsible about it, because employers will look. They'll look. We here at Pellissippi, I'll get you 1 second, I see you. We don't look at social media accounts, and we tell our search committees, do not search candidates on social media accounts. We want to go in completely unbiased and have a good interview. If somebody on the committee, though, say they know someone who knows somebody who saw something alarming on a candidate's post, they can request that we do a search, and then marketing will do a search for us, and they will search all the candidates in the pool, so that's an equitable pool. So each company does it differently. Private industry, they're a little more free, so they can go ahead and search you up. Right, so if you don't want your grandma to see it, don't have it on social media. Go back in your history. You might have posted pictures when you were 15 that you're like, oh, you know, clean that up. We've all heard stories, right? You've all heard them, people losing their jobs because of something they posted when they were a teenager. I hate that that happens, because I'm so thankful my teenage years aren't on social media. But it happens, right? So that's a super proactive step we can take. Yeah? No, if you're not on social media, that's totally fine. It doesn't, as far as I've experienced, that does not, unless you're coming to me in a graphic arts or a design or some sort of thing where you're going to be extensively, I'm going to want you to have that social media experience. But other than that, no. One thing I would recommend is having a LinkedIn profile. So you don't have to do social media, but LinkedIn, this link will take you to 20 steps to set one up. This is where most employers are going to look. They're going to go in your link. This is where your professional, your personal brand, start building. How many people know what personal branding is? Okay, I do a whole workshop on that. Start creating your personal brand, right? Your value system is going to matter when you start applying and interviewing for jobs, Okay, so LinkedIn presence is really the only one you need. If you don't want to get into all the rest of it, hey, more power to you. It's crazy town out there. So just a few tips on here. Check all of your sites. Just delete anything inappropriate. Use appropriate profile pictures. And there's always someone who says, you know, it's freedom of speech. I can do whatever I want. You totally can. And I can see it and choose not to hire you. So if that's okay with you, if you're standing on that, that's the hill you're going to die on. That's totally up to you. No one's telling you you can't, right? But kind of when you're thinking about how you want to present and your perception of you and how you are as a professional, how do you want that to reflect here, right? So this is an important part of our world today. So use it to your advantage. I mean, you can use social media totally to your advantage. I do all the time. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about before we get into the interview is your email. These are actual email addresses that recruiters have received resumes and cover letters with. Please look at your email. No judging, Drunk Girl 467. If you're over 21 and this is your living life, hey, live your best one. I have no problem with that. But as a hiring manager, Drunk Girl just told me in her resume that she's detail-oriented. Well, she missed a really big detail right here by not having a professional address, right? Drunk Girl told me that she's very professional when interacting with stakeholders and customers. Is she? What is Drunk Girl going to say? Right? Just by missing this fact, she has said a lot more to me than just, I enjoy margarita night. Okay, she has told me, she has given me a perception of herself that she's not detail-oriented, and maybe I can't put her in front of people confidently, right? So not just thinking about what these are, like, do be 9/11, party on, but if I'm working somewhere where I need someone who's going to be detail-oriented, laser-focused, maybe not him, right? So watch your email. Use your student email or get a Gmail. That's just like your name. So if you send an email and I want to search, hey, I got that really great resume. Her name was Maria. I can search Maria and your email will pop to the top, right? So use that email address for visibility. Use it smart. Okay. Any questions on that? Anyone rethinking their email right now? Everybody's good? Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. So now it's interview time. Anybody nervous about interviewing? Have y'all interviewed before? Just starting? Nerves? Nerves? Yeah, lots of nerves. I'm going to talk you through those. So the purpose of an interview is you want to share information about yourself so effectively it convinces the committee you're the right candidate. The way to do this is to be prepared. You cannot go into an interview and wing it. How many wing it? Go in. I'm super confident. I got it going on. I'm just going to go wing it. How many of y'all have done that before? Yeah? Here's what I'm going to say to you about that. You interview every once in a while, right? Say, I'm winging it. I crushed it, man. I do interviewing all day. I can tell when someone's winging it. You don't think that I can tell, but I can tell. Because I do so many, right? So be prepared. I cannot tell you that enough. Practice. It's awkward at first. Get a family member to sit at the kitchen table, have them ask you questions. Get on FaceTime with a friend, have them ask you questions. Practice, practice, practice. So when Rebecca sent out the email today and she said the techniques for you're under pressure to not be nervous, this is it. Be prepared, be self-confident. Those are the techniques. You will not be nervous if you are prepared. You will be self-confident if you are prepared. It just comes with the game, right? So how do you prepare? Research the organization. Okay, when you're applying somewhere, research them. It takes you 2 minutes to Google them, mission, core values. So I have links to Pellissippi's mission and core values here. You can click on that and take a look. If you want to work at Apple, Google, wherever, you'll find it very easily. Do those core values align with yours? Is that somewhere you feel like you can work? And I'll tell you why I say that. How many of you in here think, we kind of had this question in debate, it was very interesting, that the NFL should impose fines on a player who kneels during the anthem, like Colin Kirkpatrick did? Should he get fined for doing that on the football field? Yes or no? Yes, he should be fined. No, he shouldn't be fined. And why should he not be fined?
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. Everybody says freedom of speech. I wholeheartedly agree to a point. So, and I'm not going to give you my personal opinion. I'm just telling you, when you're out there in the world, perceptions of employers. He's on the field getting paid as an NFL player, right? So he is representing the NFL. He has his personal social media presence, his as a famous person, as a person people look up to, where he can advocate for things that he believes in his personal world. But when you're at work and you're working on the core values that your company has determined are their mission and core values. We have to be one community around those core values, right? So I can't come to work and do something that's going to break a policy or a guideline, even though I personally really believe in it, right? And the NFL does have guidelines about doing anything that would reflect poorly on NFL as an institution. So could there be an argument made that he did that day, right? So there's that fine line between we want to keep ourselves who we are, and we want to advocate for what we believe in. So we need to find a place of work that aligns with us. Not 100%, nothing's aligned with you 100%, but just have those things in mind when you're looking at companies. Is this a company I can get behind, right? You got to go work there every day, right? So just kind of think about those things. Research the position and the role. Is it a good fit for you? Does it align with your resume? Take those words that you read in the job description, put those words in your resume. That'll show you that you align well, right? And then if they use their applicant tracking system, they're going to find those keywords, right? So if you have something in the job description that says developing training, and you have I design training in your resume, make it developing. Grab those words, align that resume, tailor the resume to the role, right? Research the community as a whole. If you're going to be going to another county, another town, another state, is that somewhere you want to live? Do some research. This is the most important part. Research potential interview questions. So this link will take you to 2024's 50 top interview questions. Pick 10 of them and have an answer. Like research thoroughly, have an answer, practice that answer. Because like if they don't ask you that exact question, they're going to ask you something similar, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I already have a scenario for that, right? So you will be 10 of these. Take 10 and have a thoroughly prepared answer. The next one is going to be your responses. This will link you to 34 different ways, or no, this one is a list of questions about the job. This one will link you to the STAR method, so when they're asking you those situational questions. Tell me about a time when you disagreed with a coworker, and what did you do? Tell me about a time you missed a deadline, and how did you handle it? Right, you're going to get those situational questions. So the STAR method is the situation, the task, the action you took, and what was the result. So it keeps that answer really focused and keeps you from rambling, right? So those are all articles you can look at, things you should be thinking about when you're preparing. Prepare 10 answers, please. These are a list of questions about that you can ask the job. So should you ever, when they ask you, do you have any questions for us? What should your answer never be? No. You always go to an interview with at least 2 to 3 questions. If you say no, an employer is going to cringe inside. Please have questions. Ask about their culture. Ask about the role, right? If they've presented in the interview the role and it's not what you thought it was, ask about that, right? Yes?
One question I always ask is, could you walk me through what a typical day would look like in this position?
Great question. Great question. Yeah. Especially if they haven't addressed it, right? So the other question that you have to, please know this question. This is critical. Tell me about yourself. For those of you who have interviewed, how many times have you gotten that question? Every time, right? So tell me about yourself.
I'm a father of 3, husband. I like to work hard, get the job done.
Nice. So he's got a little elevator pitch. I like it. Right? Tell me about yourself. See? Hesitation, right? That's the question. You got to just start talking. But you want to be careful about what you share, right? So shared a little personal about himself, shared how his work ethic is, his career, little insight to who he is, right? Perfect. So this little video, which you guys can play, I was going to play it, but I don't know if the sound works. Let's give it a try. See if it works. No, it doesn't work. But she will show you how to, she will kind of walk through a thing. I didn't know if the sound was going to work in here. So have that tell me about yourself nailed down, right? And don't be like, well, do you want to know about me personally or professionally? Don't ask them when they ask you to tell you about yourself. You need to know what you're going to tell them. Give them a little personal tidbit, give them a career, why you'd be good for this role, why you're interested in working there, and then, maybe I like to hike and walk my dog, right? So just kind of get a little bit of everything. So that's your elevator pitch. Have it ready to go. Any questions about any of that? I know I'm going fast, but 30 minutes is not a lot. It's a lot of stuff. Okay. Go to these links, please. Before you go to your mock interviews, prepare your 10 answers. Okay. Anyone done a virtual interview? Yes? Yes? Anyone else virtual? So there's a few other things you have to keep in mind because these are not unusual these days. You might see this a lot. So just a few things this graphic will show you. Body language matters. Does anyone know what it means when you touch your face a lot in an interview?
Nervous.
Nervous. It can also indicate dishonesty, that you're being dishonest. What about twirling your hair? If I'm twirling my hair, what can that say?
Not interested.
I'm uninterested. I'm not paying attention. That might just be a habit I have. But people who do interviews, people who work in HR, people who are in leadership, they understand body language and cues, right? So we'll see that and be like, oh. So research nonverbals. Like, go ahead and just Google body language. So it's a good tip to have. Test your technology. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. If your camera is here and the people are over here, look in your camera. It's weird because you're not talking, you want to talk to them, but perfect. Look at your camera. Test your technology. Make sure it works. Get on there 15, 20 minutes beforehand. Zoom a friend. Make sure your sound is working. And don't worry if it doesn't, because we're used to that. Like, technology just glitches, and so no one's going to ding you because your technology, if something happens, right? But have a plan B. Like, be ready to recover, right? Yeah. If you're going for a tech role, you do all the testing you can. And if it doesn't work, make sure you can pivot quickly and make it work, right? We can't control everything. Like, who knew AT&T, their entire network was going to go down last week? Like, I can't control that, right? So I got to have plan B. I have plan B. Practice, 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 just like we talked about. Put your best foot forward, like you said. Face the camera. Proofread everything. So if you send a document, if you send a cover letter, a resume, proofread. Who's used Grammarly in here? Do you guys use Grammarly? Everybody, it's free. Please use Grammarly. Proofread all your stuff. Have a friend read it. My daughter was in editing, and she corrects my texts and sends them back. I'm like, really? That's extreme. That's not even nice. I don't punctuate in my texts. So pay attention to that. Send materials ahead of time. Are you applying for a graphic arts position, a photography position, an IT position? Do you have to send some sort of your work, sample of your work? Do that ahead of time so that you're not fumbling around with that. And then please know that when I can see you on camera, what else can I see? Everything that's behind you. Please look around at your space. It is astounding to me how many people, the mom in me comes out. The hamper's right in the corner. I can see the sweatshirt. Like, it's distracting, okay? Look at your surroundings. Clean them up. Make them as professional. And if you don't want to do that, put a background up. Make sure that's a professional background. You can be on the Star Trek, Voyager ship, but try to make it something professional, right? Those are things that people don't think about. So think about those things. For yourself, prepare yourself. So we're preparing our mind, body, and soul, right? Be well rested, get a good night's sleep, eat. Don't go into your interview hangry, right? Eat something light, don't heavy, but eat something light. Dress professionally. I do not know how many times I see people come in for interviews in shorts and a t-shirt for our, if it's student employment project, even if you're an internal candidate, do you need to dress professionally? If I come in jeans and a sweatshirt every day, but I'm interviewing for a director job, the same place I work with the same people I work with every day, can I come in jeans and a sweatshirt? Should I? No. You are competing against external people who are bringing 125%. You need to be on that level, right? So present yourself in that way. Okay, dress up. If you don't have professional dress, Pellissippi has a clothes closet here where you can go for free. You get an outfit. I think you get 2 pieces of clothing a semester, I want to say, and get yourself a jacket. Get yourself a nice blouse, right? It's free to you. It's gently used. There's some nice stuff up there. So check that out. Dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. During the interview, ask questions, be confident, which if you're prepared, you're going to be able to do all these things. Be prepared to discuss your situational examples, right? Be prepared. Bring a notebook. Don't be afraid to bring a notebook and jot things down. Someone might ask you a 3-part question, so just jot down. Don't write the whole time, but just have it. Don't assume you know the job. Be too arrogant. Dwell on your mistakes. I know I'm running out of time. And watch your body language, right? There's something you don't want to do. I have a 9.5 slide here for additional don'ts. Do not arrive late. 15 minutes early is on time for an interview. If my interview is at 11, 10:45 is on time. Do not come late. Do not be too casual. We talked about that. Don't talk about previous coworkers or bosses in a bad way or claim that, what are your weaknesses? I don't have any. We all got them. You can say, my opportunity is, right? Use positive language and talk about your opportunities. Someone actually said this in an interview. You'll regret it if you don't hire me. Like, well, I guess I'm going to have to live with regret. Right? Don't do that. Don't ask about vacation and pay on your first interview. That is a next level question. Don't come without questions. We talked about that. Try to leave politics at the door. Remember, we've researched our values of this company. We think they align with us enough where it's worth an explore. So we don't have to do this in our interview. Right? Okay. When you wrap it up, you can already ask, what is your timeline? When should I expect to hear back? Then if you don't hear back, you can follow up. Thank everyone in the interview room. Thank the committee. Thank the person who showed you the door. Thank the receptionist who greeted you. The minute you step foot on site, you're building your reputation. And somebody's going to say something. If you're rude to the secretary and you go into the interview and you're like, hey, she's going to say, wow, they were rude. Doesn't matter what you did in that room. You blew it before you even got in the room, right? So you're building that reputation. Thank everyone, be kind, be excited to be there. And then follow up. You can send a note, you should. So if you have people, you've been emailed and you know the people who are in the interview, or there's a committee, you can just send a short email. I enjoyed meeting with you today. I'm excited about the expansion of your graphics art department. If I'm your top candidate, I'd be excited to join your company, sincerely. Just something very short and sweet, something you learned in the interview, something you are excited about, and reiterate your interest, right? Thank you. Then reflect. What did I learn? What did I learn about this company? Is this somewhere I want to work? Is this the role for me? Right? Maybe it's not. How well did I do? Did I have my questions? Did my strengths and weaknesses? My situational question? How did my tell me about yourself go? Was that smooth? Do I need to work on those things? So take 10, 15 minutes when you get home and just kind of debrief yourself, right? So that next time you're even more prepared to go crush it. Okay, what would I do differently next time? What am I going to do different? This has a little link to an interview where what they said the role was and what actually came up in the interview was totally different. So that person was just like, I'm not interested in the role. And you can do that. You can decline a role. You're not getting married to this job. You're just having an interview. You're just dating, right? You don't have to accept the role. One thing I will tell you, though, about that, do not ghost your employer. Do not ghost your employee. So if you don't want the role, just as you would a thank you note, send a very short and sweet professional, thank you for your time today. I appreciated learning about your company and role. I don't feel this is a good fit for me at this time. I hope to work with you in the future. Right? Don't burn a bridge. You may want to work with this company in the future. Another role might come up that is a good fit. That person might know someone. Knoxville is a small town, and say, no, they ghosted us. They never responded. Right? So don't ghost your employer. Just let them know. So the last thing I'm going to leave you with, one important key to success is self-confidence. An important key to self-confidence is preparation. So like I started out, that's Arthur Ashe. He's a very famous tennis player. People in my house play a lot of tennis. So if you are prepared, you will walk into that interview with confidence and you will crush it. If you are not prepared, you might think you crushed it, but you didn't, right? And you want to walk out feeling good. You want to walk out and be like, yeah, I rocked that. So that's up to you to do the preparation to do that, okay? Anyone have any questions for me? I know I went a few minutes over, and I went fast. You're going to be provided with this PowerPoint and all the links and all the videos that are in there. So hopefully this will be a good resource for you as you kick off your career. If you ever have any questions, I'm upstairs in HR. Just shoot me an email.